Hello, everybody. It is Kate, the founder of WiFly Nomads, for another Wednesday with WiFly. I am at Bali and I'm at my favorite cafe here. I work here every morning. Um, so you guys can kind of see it in the background there. It's a bit rainy, so some of the stuff is put away. There's like the outside part and the inside part. Um, but what I like about it is that you can see the pool back there. So there's like a pool and then it's outside. You can see sort of like, see the background. I just really like the open air. Um, there's not too many people here all the time. Bali's really busy. There's so many nomads here. So the co-working spaces are packed. So I like coming here because it's like open air, tropical vibe. You got the pool. It's just really good vibe. Yeah, and we're in rainy season, so it's a bit rainy right now, but still enjoying it. So yes, I think most of you know that I'm living here at the moment, and then I'll be going back to home for Christmas, and then I think I might go out west to like Vancouver to go snowboarding, see a friend. Might head to LA as well, and then maybe Melbourne before I come back to Bali in like February. So if any of you are from any of those places, let me know, and maybe we can meet up while I'm while I'm in those places, which would be awesome. So we have a ton of questions. Thank you so much for all of your questions that are coming in. To be honest, I don't know that we'll get through all of them. I know last time I felt like I was rushing a bit to just make time, so I'd rather just take my time with the questions and give you guys the best answers. And then if we don't get to your question, we'll just do it for the next week. Who knows? Maybe if we get too many questions, we'll have to do it more than once a week. I don't know. But yes, thank you. What we're going to do is we're going to set up a page where you can formally submit your questions. Otherwise, go to the Grind to Greatness Facebook group and ask your questions there. And I mean, it's the best way to get one-on-one advice. Usually for the coaching, you guys can see what my coaching rate is on the Remote Nomad, and it's almost like free coaching. So honestly, take advantage of it. It's the best way to have access to me. I know a lot of people ask me questions, and this is the best way to get your question personally answered. So to be honest, okay, so we have our first questions from Barbara in the Facebook group, The Grind to Greatness. And Barbara has a lot of questions. She's about to start her journey. So I'm going to break down her questions one by one because I do think that the questions that she asks are very valuable to a lot of people, especially those starting out. So yeah, let's dive into it. So she says, "Hey everyone, I'm looking to start some planning to set out and try the digital nomad life in 2018. Fortunately, I already have a job that allows me to work remotely, except I'll just have to keep a US work schedule." So first of all, congrats, Barbara. That is like the biggest hurdle to start this lifestyle. So you're already one step ahead. So that's amazing. Congratulations. Maybe you can share with our group, our community in the Facebook group, how you made that happen, how you got a remote job, if it was your existing employer, if you're applying for remote jobs, how long it took. I think the group would be really interested in hearing that. So if you don't mind posting that in the Facebook group, I would love to hear the story as well. So the first question here, what sort of things do you advise me to do as I plan my time abroad for next year? What did you do when you got started? What do you advise me to do? Is there anything that you didn't do in retrospect that you wish you had done? To be honest, you can overthink and overplan, and I'm going through what my personality type is, and I'm learning a lot about myself, and I'm realizing that for me, I'm just like, do it, don't overthink it, just do it. I realize that is just my personality type, and not everyone understands or operates in the same way. So I'm trying to be mindful of that. But to be honest, you could research till you're blue in the face. You could plan till you're blue in the face. I just learned today that there is a specific personality type that they like to have everything planned when they travel and stuff. And then there's me where I'm just like, all right, let's go. I need to find somewhere to live last minute. Very last minute in that sense. So to be honest, I think there are three big things that you need to do. Um, Book your ticket. Just go. Just book your ticket. I would suggest booking accommodation for 2 weeks. And the reason I say that is sometimes you can find better opportunities, better accommodations, better rates and pricing. But by booking for 2 weeks, can get yourself settled. You can stay there. You can learn what you like and what you don't like in a place, and it gives you an opportunity to maybe book in a neighborhood that's not like the happening neighborhood, and maybe you want to move over 20 minutes. So by booking for only 2 weeks, you're not fully committed, but it's enough time to get settled and find something else. And worst case, you can just extend. Like when the WiFly participants were here, I I decided last minute to stay in Bali, and I had nowhere to live. So I was just like, well, our last hotel, I just extended for like a week until I found something. So I find, yeah, book for 2 weeks, because there will be things that you like or don't like, and you won't know that until you get there. And then it gives you the flexibility so that you can change afterwards, and then you're not stuck somewhere. So book your ticket, find accommodation, and find a co-working space. I think that's the biggest, most important thing. Internet is not created equal around the world. And also make sure your phone's unlocked for a local SIM card. It's way cheaper to have a local SIM card. Co-working spaces is your best bet in making sure that you have good internet, because at the end of the day, you need to work, and until you're comfortable with the country or the location, you're not going to know where the good spots are for internet. So your co-working space is your safest bet to know you have good, reliable internet. It's also a great way to meet like-minded people. Co-working spaces always have community events, so it's a great way to get to know people. And we're going to dive into community a bit later in this video as well. Honestly, I gotta tell you, like, I went in blind. I didn't overthink. I was like, I booked a one-way ticket, and I was like, shit, I need a job. And then when I got there, I was like, all right, I gotta find a job. Then I found a job. To be honest, I really didn't overthink, overplan. At the time, I didn't even know what a digital nomad was. I had no idea. So I was like, I don't even know how I can plan for this. I don't know that there's much online at that point. So yeah, I mean, just do it. Don't overthink. I mean, the only thing I can suggest is maybe buy a Kindle. I traveled around till I got to the point I was carrying like 5 books, and I was like, all right, this isn't working at the airport. So I had to convert to a Kindle, and maybe get one of those like a battery pack external chargers. So your phone is going to die a lot because you're going to be using your data to get around. You're going to be taking photos. So just having one of those. I think I have one actually in here. Do I have one on me? But anyways, yeah, keeping that on you so that your phone, I don't think I have it on me. Yeah, but keeping that on you for when your phone dies. I mean, I got lost in Istanbul for like 6 hours one time, and I was kept trying to navigate to find my way back and kept getting lost, and my phone died, but then I had my backup, which saved me. And then the backup, just by the time the backup died, then I made it home. So I would just bring that. Yeah, to be honest, I didn't even have like a ton of money saved. To be honest, I spent most of my savings on my remote year down payment deposit. I was like, shit, I really need a job because I have to I have to pay them, right? So I mean, it's hard to answer that because I was probably the most unprepared you could be. I had no job. I barely had any money. I didn't know anything about this lifestyle. So, I mean, but that's my personality type. I just do it and figure it out. So there's nothing mind revolutionary in terms of like what you need to do. Credit cards, make sure that you have backup credit cards. The chances, there's the chance that your credit card's going to get compromised, or your debit card, and it's a huge bitch to get your credit card sorted and mailed. So what I've done in the past is I've made my mom a power of attorney on my bank account, so that if I need a new card or anything, she can get it and then mail it to me, and I don't have to deal with the bank, and it just makes things easier. I would get a power of attorney on your bank accounts, get 2 different debit cards, 2 different credit cards. Even prepaid credit cards are good, because then you just put the cash on, use it, put the cash on. That way, if someone tries to compromise, they're not, if your credit card's like at 10 grand, they're not taking your card and spending 10 grand. And it just controls the risk. So I would suggest multiple credit cards, debit cards. My cards got compromised abroad, and it was annoying. So thankful that just a month later my friend was actually coming from Canada and she brought my new cards, but otherwise it would have been impossible, because by the time they're like, okay, it takes 6 weeks to get a card, I'm like, well, I leave into a new country every month, so like by the time you mail it to one country I'm already in another, and it's just so I would suggest that. Trying to think. Yeah, I think that's the main thing. Don't overthink it. I mean, you're probably going to overpack. Everyone does it. You might overdo it with like the gadgets and all those things. Yeah, I mean, it depends what type of person you are, but don't overthink it. The biggest thing is just get yourself there. Get yourself there. Um, okay, so yeah, I mean, in retrospect, there's a ton of things I could have done. Maybe I could have had more money, but I mean, it wouldn't be more money saved. But the reality is, if you wait too long, you're just never going to get there. So just go. Um, okay, so Barbara, you also say this will be my first time testing the waters out as a digital nomad abroad. I'm looking to do it for up to 3 months, up to a year, but I'm not really sure what amount of time is best. Um, I can speak to my experience, what I would recommend. When I was on remote year, I was doing a month at a time, and it completely burnt me out, and it was absolutely exhausting. At first, it takes you about 3 weeks to adapt to a place. About 3 weeks. It takes about 3 weeks to adapt to a country to just feel somewhat comfortable, and it takes probably a couple months to get really comfortable. Like, okay, I'm very comfortable with this place. I know where everything is. I can get around, depending how big the place is, right? Um, so I definitely suggest do a minimum of 3 months. Start with 3 months. The beauty in it is you don't have to make a decision. Um, yeah, and you don't have to replan. You don't have to say, oh, I'm going to be here for 3 months, 6 months, or a year. It doesn't matter. You're working online. You can go there 3 months and say, I don't like this. I want to go. Then you go. Maybe you're there for a week and you want to go. And then that's the beauty of it. You don't have to plan. Everyone keeps asking me, how long are you going to be in Bali? I don't know. I would just stay here until I don't stay here. You don't have to decide. There's nothing that is like, you must make a decision. Your family, they might hate that you don't have a date of like, I'll be back home at this time, but you don't, there's no reason why you need to have like, this is my exact date, right? Especially since you're already working online. But yeah, I would suggest plan to stay in a place for 3 months. A month is not enough, because if you think of it, you're working Monday to Friday, so you only have the weekends. So that really leaves you only, okay, there's 4 weekends in a month, so 2, 4, 6, 8. That leaves you 8 days to explore a country. 8 days is not a lot. And the thing is, too, is you're going to want some weekends to just do nothing. The way I explain it to people is, say you live in a city, do you go sightseeing every day after work and go sightseeing on the weekend? No, because you'd be exhausted, and it's the same as this lifestyle. You can't, be sightseeing all the time. Like last weekend, I went up to the islands in Nusa Penida, which was awesome. A weekend away, great. It was like a little staycation. And then the weekend after, people were like, all right, do you want to go deep sea snorkeling or whatever? And I was like, no, I just want to chill, right? I can't keep doing all these things, or you just burn out. And you might get overexcited, and when you get there and be like, I want to do everything. Just remember and remind yourself that you have like a lifetime. You're working online. You have a lifetime to go to these places. See, there is no rush. Don't put this upon yourself that you have to see everything. Just take your time. Like, there's a million places in Bali I still want to see, and I haven't seen them yet, and it's okay. I'll see them when I see them. I just want to enjoy and get to know the place. So don't feel like you have to see and do everything right away. I think that was a big mistake I made. Actually, yeah, I guess going back to your first question, that was a big mistake I made. Is I tried to do everything. I tried to make friends with everybody, go see everything, do all my work, try to work out, try to work on myself, and it's just not realistic. You're taking on too much. So just be slow. Don't try to take on too much. And also, a really, really important thing is maintaining habits and routines. So if you're at home and you're getting up at like 7, and then you're working, and then you're breaking for lunch, and then maybe going to the gym, and then working in the afternoon, do that when you get to wherever you are. You're going to have so many distractions, and at all times you're going to have a 100 different things you could be doing at that moment, but you need to prioritize what is important. And I can tell you that when you put your own self last on that totem pole, you will suffer. I remember I would eat very healthy and I would exercise and meditate. And as soon as I went on remote year, I stopped doing all those things because I had a million other things I could be doing. And I was, oh, I got to get to know everyone and this and that. And then all of a sudden, I was in this horrible spot in life because I completely eliminated all my positive routines. So make sure that you prioritize your healthy habits and routines, and it will create some normalcy for you. You can't completely, like, I was just explaining to someone a bit earlier. When I come to a place, I find like 4 spots I really like working from, and I only work from those spots. I'm not at a new place every day, like, oh, I want to explore this. And quite frankly, it's because it's annoying, because I can go to a place and then they don't have good internet. I'm like, shit, I just wasted that time, or the food's not good. I just find the places I like and I go to them. And to me, that's a sense of like consistency, stability. So although I'm away from home, I still have that sense of consistency and stability because I'm going to those same places every day. I get to switch it up. I mean, I need to work from two to three places a day, so I can still be fresh and all that stuff. But definitely maintain your habits and routines. Create some sort of structure, plan your day, make sure that you're prioritizing things. You can still get to know people. Okay, you want to hang out, go for dinner. Okay, I'm going to make sure I go to the gym before then. It also helps to just, when you get there, just familiarize yourself, know where the grocery store is, know all those things, where the co-working space is, how to get there. Because just spending a day and figuring that out and touring the city is a lot easier than throughout the day being like, oh, I'm so hungry, shit, I don't know where the grocery store is, and then you end up eating out all the time because you're, you know, too busy to make the time to find the grocery store. So just do that on day one and get it out of the way. But yeah, I think that 3 months is a good time. Remember, you don't need to decide how long you're there for. You can just buy a return ticket and cancel. Well, a lot of nomads, to show proof of return, will purchase a ticket and then cancel it. I'm not necessarily advising you to do that, but I'm telling you that that is what a lot of nomads do, okay? If you catch my drift. So yeah, I mean, just do what you feel like. Once you get to a country, you'll know. I've been to countries and like within a week I was like, I don't like this place and I want to leave, and it's okay because you're not going to like everywhere. And I've been to places I'm like, I want to stay here forever, hence Bali, why I don't foresee myself leaving anytime soon. So yeah, you don't have to decide. That's the beauty. Everyone always asks me, when are you coming home? Are you doing this? I don't know. Whenever I decide, okay, I'm bored of Bali or I don't want to be here, then I'll go. And you're in the same position now too. So you say, I know I'd like to stick with Europe to start, and I know for sure I'm interested in seeing what London and Spain feel like as a beginning. So I'm just going to answer this in terms of advice on where to go. It's interesting because I do see a lot of nomads pick a place and it's like the most expensive place ever, which kind of defeats the purpose of nomad life, with the idea of like saving money. So I just want you to keep in mind 2 things. There's a difference of, for me, there are places I would love to live in and I would hate to visit, and places I would love to visit and I would never live in. So there's places I've been around the world that the country, I loved it, but I would never live there and I would never work there as a nomad, for many reasons. And I'm going to explain my criteria of what I look for in a country and what you should consider when planning a country. So yes, there's definitely a difference between just, oh, going to a cool place that has lots of sites versus a place that's set up for working remotely. So some of the things that I consider that you may want to consider is it affordable? So you want a country that is affordable. Your money can go much further. For example, here in Bali, I mean, I can live incredibly here. The average rent is about 5 million Indonesian rupiah, which is about 500 Canadian, which is about 350 American. And that's just like normal. So I'm at a place, I have like a mini fridge, couch, TV, bedroom, bathroom, all my own space, a shared kitchen, a pool, and I'm paying 6 million Indonesian rupiah. So that's like 500 American. I mean, when I eat a local dinner, I have this amazing local dinner with like rice and veggies and all this stuff, and I pay $1.50 Canadian, which is probably $1 American. The most you would pay for like super healthy, great food here is like $5. The max you would spend is like 7. I went for a steak dinner the other night, and it was, I think my steak dinner was like $15. Um, my scooter, I pay $80 a month for scooter. Gas is $2 to fill it up. This is Canadian again too. So for me, I pick a place that's affordable because A, it gives you better quality of life, and if you go somewhere more affordable, you don't need to earn as much, or if you still earn the same, you can live much better quality of life. I also look at places that are safe, obviously, which, I mean, you're pretty fine in most places for the most part. I obviously like warm places if that's your priority. As a Canadian, you never get used to the cold, so I choose warm places. The biggest thing is internet. So, for example, I'm a beach girl. I love the beach. However, you can imagine places with beaches usually don't have good internet. For example, I would be so drawn to Central America. I would love to live in all those places, but I can't because the internet is just not good. I would have to be in the city, not near the beach. To me, Bali's one of those only places, one of the few places you can go where you have options of places to work with good internet. So definitely consider if the country has good internet, because I can tell you a mistake that I made when I went abroad is assumed all of the countries in the world have the same quality of internet as Canada, and that is absolutely not true. So make sure the place has good internet. Um, and then you also want to look at a place that if it has a digital nomad scene. So loneliness is the biggest challenge for nomads. So I strongly suggest starting out in a place that is a digital nomad hub. And the reason I suggest that is because it's going to be easier for you. If it's a hub, you know the internet's going to be good. You know there's going to be a variety of places to work from. That's another criteria I have. I don't just want one co-working space and that's the only spot. I like places that have lots of cool cafes and restaurants that I can work from. So to me, that's important, because if you're just going to the same place every single day, you might as well just work in an office almost, right? But it's also, cafes that have good internet, because there's some countries that have cool cafes and shit or no internet. But a place like Bali, for example, there's lots of cool cafes here. They all have good internet. So if you go to a Nomad hub, you know it's going to be safe, you know it's going to be affordable, you know they're going to have good internet, they're going to have spots to work, and they're going to have a community. Loneliness, again, is a big thing for digital nomads, so I would suggest going to a hub, because that means there's a lot of people there that get you, that understand what you're doing, that are living the same lifestyle, people you can connect with. You go to any co-working space and you're immediately accepted and befriended by everyone, because it's just like a sense of community. Oh, we're all in this together. We're all here traveling to Bali, or wherever you may go. So I would suggest a place with a co-working space and a place that has a big digital nomad scene. That being said, if you're interested in Europe, the places I would recommend that are big digital nomad hubs and are up and coming are Valencia, Spain, and Lisbon, Portugal. I would definitely consider those. To be honest, okay, go where you want, but I can just tell you, London's going to be effing super expensive. I've always wanted to go to London and Australia, and I just haven't been, even though I have the ability to, because it's effing expensive and my money can just go so much further in a different country. If you're interested in Spain, definitely go to Spain. That's a hub. Valencia. There's also Nomad List, which also provides information on the different locations and hubs, and gives you the lowdown on sort of average cost of living and stuff. So I'll send a link. I'll put it in the Facebook group, the link to that, and you can check it out. And then you can sort of plan, okay, if I go to Spain, how much am I going to spend? What's the lowdown on all those things? Okay, this is a good one here now too. Okay, so what are people's thoughts on going nomad solo and connecting to others through meetups, co-working spaces, etc., versus going nomad through one of those already established experiences like remote year? And yes, I have done remote year. You asked that question in here. I'm trying to figure out what is the best fit for me and what are the pros and cons. Okay, I think I could do an entire video on this one here. So I've done both. I've gone by myself, and I've gone on a program, so I can speak to both experiences. I think the biggest thing is, if you join a program like Remote Year, you need to know what your expectation is and what you're hoping to get from it. When I joined Remote Year, I had never knew this lifestyle existed. To me, that was my only in. That was my only way to ever get started with this. I didn't even think of the option that, oh, I could do this myself, because it was so foreign to me and I was so confused and had no idea how it worked. So if you're just getting started and you don't really understand the lifestyle and you kind of want, it gives you a bit more security because you're not going into it alone. Like, okay, I'm at this country alone. Shit. It gives you a bit more confidence because they kind of like hold your hand through the country. So you're like, oh, okay, you know, and then you figure it out and you gain that confidence. Like, okay, I could do this myself. I could land at an airport and get myself to accommodation. Like at first it could be petrifying, that feeling of, I just landed. Oh my God, like, do I have a SIM card? Do I get a cab? Or cab's a thing here? Is Uber a thing here? What's the best way to get to my place? Do I hire a driver? So I mean, when you have those programs, it's good in the sense it gives you the confidence because you're like, oh, okay, I'm with a group. Okay, things are taken care of. I'm kind of getting to feel how this works. Obviously, there's the community. Again, you can find community in a different way on your own, and I will explain how I've found that without being on a program. But I mean, my intent was also leveraging Remote Year to build my brand, and it did that really well. That was part of what I wanted to get from the program, and that's what I got. Had I not been on Remote Year, because I was writing about it and I was on the first program, at that time I was the only one writing about Remote Year. So all the press would come to me, like Fast Company and BBC and CNN and all them. They would come to me and say, tell us about Remote Year. And so then all of a sudden I got all this press, and I built this blog and got all this press, and it helped build my brand. And I piggybacked off the Remote Year brand, being like, I'm on Remote Year, like I'm talking about this. Full on will admit that I piggybacked off their brand to build mine, and it worked. And now that I've sort of stepped away to be my own brand and kind of stepped away from being not being associated with Remote Year, but kind of establishing myself as myself versus I'm a Remote Year participant. Now the press still comes because it sort of leverage got the snowball rolling, and now I don't really even have to, I never really had to try, and the press just comes. So if you're looking to build a business, it's good. And it's also good if you're looking to build a business because you can literally say, hey group, I have this business idea, what do you think? And then 30 people will respond and let you know. If you're doing that elsewhere, you're like, hey, like, what do you think? It's kind of harder to get people to be so willing to give you feedback. I mean, obviously things are planned, and you don't have to plan things. To be honest, I think programs like Remote Year and whatnot are good for two reasons. One, if you've never lived this lifestyle, and it kind of makes for a smoother transition because it familiarizes yourself with it. So that would be the one biggest thing. And the second biggest thing, I mean, personally, to be honest, the only reason I would join one of those programs at this moment now, having lived this lifestyle now for I think it's been 2.5 years now. The only reason I would do it is, for example, Bali has a big nomad scene. It's very easy for me to get a community, very easy for internet. The only time I would join a program like that is if it was this very kind of remote location or very uncommon location to go to. And then that way I know, okay, this location's very foreign to me. It makes me feel a bit uncomfortable in the sense of like, maybe it's like a huge cultural difference and it's like barely any internet there, but those programs take care of the internet, right? So it gives you the confidence, okay, I can successfully work in this country because they're going to take care of the annoying stuff that will become annoying because it's such a foreign or remote country. So yeah, the only reason I would join one of those programs now is if it was at a very like non-digital nomad hub place, like a very random place. And the reason I do that again is making sure the internet and all that annoying stuff's taken care of. And again, for the community, because when you go to the more of the countries that are more random that a lot of nomads don't go to, that can feel very lonely because you're literally probably the only one working online there. But if you have a program like that, you don't feel so alone. That being said, the hubs like I was saying, Spain, Portugal, Colombia, Mexico, Thailand, Bali, these are hubs, and there is a slew of nomads there. It's very easy to find your own community. So if you're looking for the community aspect, I mean, it depends on the country, right? So again, this really comes down to what you're looking for, what you want, what your expectation is. So, I mean, I talked about the pros of those companies. I mean, the cons, obviously, okay, it's expensive, very expensive. I mean, right now, for me to live in Bali, like all expenses, it's probably like, geez, like max a grand. Like, what am I paying? Like this is Canadian, so like 600, okay, 600 on rent, 80 on a scooter, 80 on a gym membership. Eating out is like anywhere from, depending if I cook or eat local, probably anywhere from, could be anywhere from like $7 to $20 a day. So, I mean, yeah, like the max I'm spending is like a grand. And that would maybe be a side trip in there too. So it's expensive, right? And it depends where you go. I mean, Bali's very affordable. Maybe some places are more expensive. It's obviously restricting. For example, when I was on remote year, I left Malaysia to come to Indonesia in Bali, and I was in love with it, and I wanted to stay. And I was like, "Fuck, we have another month. Like, we have to go to the next country." So every month you're like, "Oh, I have to leave." Like, even if you want to stay, you have to go. And then even when you get there and you're like, "I hate this place," you still kind of have to stick it out, which kind of sucks. At first, I had the mindset of like, well, I'll try to open my mind and stick it out and see what this place is really like that I'm not enjoying. But I realized like, no, I like a place or I don't. I'm not going to force myself to be anywhere anymore. Like, I know exactly what I like and what I don't like. So, I mean, it's also a lot of cities. A lot of those programs go to cities. And for people like me that don't like cities, I was like going insane by then because I was like, oh my God, I don't want to be in another city. I just really just want to be by the beach. It's a little less restricting, right? Like we went to Japan, it was friggin' freezing, and I was like, I don't want to be in this freezing weather. I'd rather be in Bali, but I made that commitment to be there. So, I mean, you can opt out, sure, but you have to let them know in advance. And when I wanted to opt out for Bali, it was almost like it was too late. I'd already paid for my month because I was like, oh, I'll come to Bali for a weekend, loved it, wanted to stay a month, and I was like, fuck, because I decided last minute I had to pay for to be in Bali and pay to be on the program when I wasn't even on it. Um, and in my opinion, they move too fast. Like 1 month at a time is not enough. I get why they do it because every month some people are going to hate it and some people are going to love it. So for the people that don't like it, to have them there for 2 months would be like, oh my God, like this is just too much. So in my opinion, it can be very overwhelming to be on a program like that, in the sense that you're trying to juggle so many things. You're trying to juggle yourself. You're trying to juggle getting to know 75 people, plus trying to get to know the nomads in the community, the locals in the community, still maintaining, yourself, like going to the gym and stuff. And then you're trying to work, of course. So there's just so much that goes on. And then they have all the events. And I mean, it's good, but it was just like, I need more alone time and just like chill. It was just so fast paced. And by the end, I was just burnt out, to be honest. And I knew that I was becoming more frustrated with remote year towards the end, and it was a mix of, I think, a few things. I do feel like they dropped the ball on us when they started ramping all the other programs up, but it was also, I recognized that it was also me. I was exhausted. It was just way too fast, a month at a time, and I was just burnt out. And because I was burnt out, I was just more moody, like, oh, and getting more frustrated more easily with them because it's exhausting, and it burns you out. I think the other thing though is like, it's not just like, oh, I'm going to go on this 2 week trip with this program or a month trip. Like it's a year. I mean, I think a lot of the programs have 4 month options now or month to month, but when you're committing a year, like when you're going through you're going to go through life's ups and downs with them. The program's going to itself is going to experience ups and downs as a company. So it's hard to say. It's not like, oh, I did this program, it was good, it was bad. It's like a relationship with a company, right? Like they're going to mess up and you're going to be so frustrated sometimes, or they're going to do amazing things and you'll be so happy with them sometimes. Like Remote Year had an event at our farewell party, a tattoo artist, so I got a free tattoo. So there's an example of something I was really happy about. But it's like when people are like, how was Remote Year? It's like, okay, well, let me ask you this. How was the last year of your life? I don't know, like so much happened. I don't know, like parts were good, parts were bad, and it's just like remote year is the exact same thing. Um, you know, there are good parts, there are bad parts. It's a very long time, right? So It's the exact same thing as me asking, like, how was your last year of life? I don't know. There are parts I really liked. There's parts I didn't. There are hard parts. There are easy parts. But I mean, when you put yourself in that situation, and I think in either option, you grow so much personally and professionally in such a short amount of time. When I was on remote year, I feel like I had the personal growth of 3 years, personal and professional growth of 3 years packed into 1 year. When you surround yourself with other like minded digital nomads, whether that's at a co working space or joining a program with remote year, it will challenge you, it will push you out of your comfort zone. And the most beautiful thing of this lifestyle is that you will evolve so much as a person and grow so much. And it's a beautiful thing. And it's not always easy, it's usually the hard things that make you grow. But it's awesome. So, to answer your question, I would say it depends on what you want to get from it. If you are just kind of scared to do it yourself and just want a bit more like confidence in doing it, yeah, you could join a program like that. If you want to build your brand and you can, there's the possibility to piggyback. I mean, I'm not sure so many people could piggyback off Remote Year's brand anymore. Like when Remote Year before was just, I was on the first group, so it meant 75 people. So if we were doing something, they would like promote it online and all that stuff, and it was very easy to get press. But now Remote Year consists of like thousands of people. There's a million programs, so it's a bit harder to use them to leverage your brand. Like they may promote it, but there's like a billion other people that want to be promoted on the program too, so it's kind of hard. So it may not have the same impact that it had for me. I guess that was the advantage of being one of the first groups, right? Is that it used to just be us. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. I mean, yeah, maybe put it, I would love some more context to that in the Facebook group of your situation and what your expectations are, because it really depends what you want and what your expectations are. And depending on your expectations, you need to communicate that with the program and make sure they can deliver. Like if your expectation is boom, 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 like my expectations when I started were literally none. I literally had none. I was just like, work online, all right. I don't care what I have to do. I'm going to do it. I thought we'd all be in like literally 70 people in a shared bunk beds working from our beds. But now that I have experience living this lifestyle, like I have expectations, and I would be definitely more hard on a program like that. Like I expect, if I'm paying that, I expect good internet all the time. I expect good accommodation. My expectations are just so much higher, but I also know what I want. Like I know I would be more picky with locations. Remote year, I didn't care. I was like, around the world, cool. But now I'm like, no, I know I don't like cities. I know there's certain parts of the world that I just have no interest in going to, and I would want to go to the places that I want to go to. It's as simple as that. So it depends. Like, it depends where you're at in the journey, what your expectations are, what you're looking to get from it. You have to be really clear on why you're joining. I wouldn't join for the sake of it, but be clear. And yeah, so I mean, it's hard to answer. Yeah, there are pros, there are cons, there are good things, there are bad things. I can't say overall it was good or it was bad. It was just, it was what it was, and there are good things and bad things. It was a great experience. It's like university. I always say this. It's a great, amazing year of your life. Like university, you know, it's a great, amazing 4 years of your life, but that doesn't mean you're going to go back for another four. So it's just like remote year. It was like a great experience, great learning opportunity, you know, but it doesn't mean I'm going to go back and join up for another year, right? So yeah, it really depends what you're looking at. Let's see here. Oh my goodness, there's so many questions. I'm wondering how much time we have to really get into these. Okay, so, okay. This one, so Catherine had emailed in and asked what would be the ultimate place to stay for remote nomads, perhaps a must-have list, then a wish list. So I sort of answered that before in terms of like looking for a place that is warm, affordable, safe, has good internet, has good places to work from. Yeah, so that sort of answers that question. Okay, there was one I was asked a few times. This one's going to be a long one too. The advantages and disadvantages of living this lifestyle. Um, okay, I think we have time for this. So, um, there's so many advantages and disadvantages. I think what a lot of people need to realize is that it's not better and it's not worse. It's just different, and you're trading certain pros and cons for other certain pros and cons. So like when you're working at home or living at home, you have the commute, you have big expenses, whatever that may be. But when you're living, and then so like that's your negative thing. Oh, I have to commute. I have these big expenses. But then the pro is that you're there for birthdays, you're there for holidays. You never get lonely because all your friends and family are there. Whereas when you're living this lifestyle, okay, now I've saved a ton of money. I'm living in paradise, but my family's really far away. I'm missing birthdays, I'm missing weddings. Someone gets sick at home, you're not there. Um, maybe sometimes you feel lonely because, you're like, okay, I'm moving so much where I need to establish a friendship group. And I mean, that's where for me, I'm very adamant now being in Bali. I'm really being adamant about, okay, who are the people I'm bringing into my life? Really establishing, okay, going to the co-working space and pretty much like filtering out who's here for the long term and who's going to leave. And the people that are going to leave, I don't make an effort to get to know. And then I look at, okay, who's here for the long haul, like 6 months, a year, are going to live here. And those are the people that I befriend because I want a community. I want people that are not going to just keep leaving my life. I really want a chance to get to know people. So I seek out those people and then I get to know them one-on-one. A mistake I made is trying to get to know people in big groups and in a party setting, but then that's when ultimate loneliness comes in because you're not really getting to know anyone. So I make an effort to get to know people on a one-on-one basis and to have more in-depth conversations. And even for me, I'm in this process now of trying to learn to be more open and vulnerable. So yeah, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent there, but in terms of community, but I mean, that's the thing is like a challenge for this lifestyle is that it can be lonely. And one of the ways to overcome that is being very mindful of your community, how you create it. Co-working spaces are a great way to create it. These are some of the things that we talked about on WiFly, just the challenges that you're going to face and how you overcome those challenges, and being realistic with what the pros and the cons are. So hold on, let me go back to your question exactly here. Okay, so the pros and cons. Oh geez, there's so many. Okay, so the cons: you're away from your family, you're missing birthdays. For me, I'm completely far away from my nephews. So with that, I'm missing them growing up, and that is literally the hardest thing. Being away from my family is okay, sometimes hard, but to miss seeing your nephews grow up is very difficult. But the beauty of that is that I Skype with them from around the world, and I still Skype them often. It's just building a relationship in a different way, and they're learning about the world, and they're learning that, okay, when it's nighttime for them and bedtime, I'm just waking up, and they get to learn these cool things, right? So it's hard when they're like, hey, are you coming to my birthday party? And you have to explain, like, I can't, and that that it takes a whole day of being awake and sleeping and being awake until I would even be able to get home. They don't understand, like, how far you are. So pros and cons. I mean, cons, being away from family, missing birthdays and weddings. That there's a certain comfort of, like, being in a place and knowing, like, okay, I'm going to go to the store and I know that the store has these things and that they speak English, and it's an ease. Like, there's more of a conscious effort that has to be made when you're living abroad. The person's not always necessarily going to understand you. You're not necessarily going to know, like, okay, like, even for me, I need to find a hair dryer. I'm like, fuck, I don't know where to get a hair dryer in Bali. I got to figure that out. Then I have to get there. It's not as easy as in Canada. I'm like, oh, I need a hair dryer. I'm going to go to the store. I'm going to get it and done, right? So in terms of that, it's just a more conscious effort that you have to make when you're in a different place. So I mean, when you're at home, you don't have that. So I guess that's a con. Yeah, I mean, the pros are obviously you can live a much better quality of life. You for me, it's just so easy to be healthy. It's like I'm in a sunny place, I'm by the beach. It's very easy and affordable to, like, go to yoga, eat healthy. So I think that one of the things with that is that you can just have a better quality life at a more affordable price. If I was in Canada, I'd be paying at least $1,000 for a shitty basement apartment, and then another 600 just for a car. So just for basic life needs, I'd be spending $1,600. Just that's just like basic, and then there's other things on that, like you got to eat too, right? In Bali, the amount that I would spend just for a shitty apartment in my hometown would be my whole month living expense, like nicely living in Bali. So I mean, that's obviously a pro. I mean, in terms of this lifestyle, I create my own hours. I mean, it depends on your work situation, but like I work when I want to work. Sometimes I have late night calls, yes. And I mean, that's a con too, right? I have the ultimate freedom and flexibility. I can work where I want, when I want, whenever I want. That's amazing. If I'm not feeling productive, I don't work. And then when I'm productive, I'm that much more productive. When you're not being forced to work between hours, you're more efficient and you're more productive, which means you can work less. So, if you're stuck in an office from 9 to 5 and people are different, right? Not everyone's productive at 9 a.m. Some people are night hours, some people prefer the morning. So if you're forced to do something when you're exhausted at 9 a.m., it could take you like 2 hours, when if you're like well rested and ready to go, it could take you like 45 minutes, right? So it's just you become more efficient because you're operating in a way that works for you. We're humans. We're not meant to work 9 to 5. Like some people are night hours, some people aren't. Some people, it becomes more about what you produce and your output versus how much time you put in when you work online, which is a nice difference. The work culture is different. People aren't like, oh, were you showing face at 9 a.m.? Oh, it's 9:03. Like, no one gives a shit when you work remote. They just want you to get the stuff done and do it well and do it right. That's all that matters. So, I mean, that's a pro. You get to work in an environment that's best suited for you. Again, not everyone works well in a friggin' cubicle, right? Everyone's different. I know friends that want dead silent when they work. I know people that want people around, don't want people around. They want music, they don't want music. But you can find an environment that works for you. So that's another pro. I mean, again, you're more efficient, you're more productive. You have an international network of people. I could go to any country and honestly, like, it's funny, when I went to Colombia, I went for like a vacation. I wanted to disconnect. And I was like, holy fuck, there's so many people I know here that it's almost hard to have a vacation because everyone's like, let's meet up. And you're like, I just want to be on vacation, right? Which is, I mean, I love meeting up with people, but that trip was meant to just be a very disconnected trip. So, I mean, I have a global network. I have friends from so many countries. I could go to any country and probably know someone that could show me around or someone that's living there. Or, I say I want to go to Germany. I have so many people I know from Germany now, like, hey, what's the download? Where should I go? What should I know? And they can easily tell me, or if they're there, show me around. So that's another pro. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things I love about it. Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest con would be loneliness, but I think there's a way you can manage that. I also think that I see a lot of nomads burn themselves out because they get caught up in like, oh, I'm going to go party. And like, there's a lot of tourists that are very tempting, like, oh, it's Monday, let's party. And you're like, no. You need to realize, like, when you have those temptations, like, even here, like, there's the travelers and they're like, yeah, it's like Wednesday, let's go out. And you're so tempted and you're like, yeah, I want to. But you're like, no, like when I'm at home, I don't party like 5 nights a week. Like it's just not realistic. It's not sustainable. It'll burn you out. So I'm just like, no, like you guys have to leave after like a few weeks. I can stay here forever. I can party whenever I want. I don't need to do it all the time. Let me think. Any other pros and cons? I mean, you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone, which is a beautiful thing because you're learning and growing as a person. You're having more understanding for cultural differences. I mean, being a Canadian, I grew up with a lot of different cultures and nationalities, and that's normal. Like, it's normal for me to be at home and like someone speaking a different language. I'm like, oh, I don't know what you're speaking, and people are from all over the place. So in Canada, we grow up with this like acceptance of cultures, but we don't grow up with the understanding. And by traveling, I've learned to have more respect and understanding for how hard it is to go to a new country and live there. Like, I have so much respect for the immigrants that go to Canada. Like, I now understand how hard it is with getting the proper visas and doing the proper documentations. And, some countries are just like no, we don't want, they just make it so difficult. They don't want you there. And you're like, oh my gosh, please, like, I'll be such a value. I can be so valuable. I just want to be a part of it. And they're like, no, 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 we don't want any more people. And you're like, it's very disheartening to feel so unwelcome. And I have more empathy for that. And just like the integration, like it's hard, like when you're at a place and it's all new and the whole, like it's completely new, you're trying to figure out the culture is different, you're trying to figure that out, the language is different, you're like, oh my god, there's so many elements, and then you're trying to just live your life, right? Like just get shit done, like do work and do things on top of trying to adapt to all these things. So I think that I've developed a much more of respect and understanding for the challenges that immigrants would face in Canada, and it makes me, I think, I feel like a better version of myself because I've now have a deeper understanding of what that feels like and more empathy towards those people. I think I got bit by a mosquito on my nose. I'm so sorry. I keep like scratching my nose because I'm pretty sure like a mosquito just like bit it at that. Yeah, anyways, very random, weird. These are rainy season problems, more mosquitoes. But yeah, I mean, there are tons of pros and cons. You're just trading one thing for another. I mean, ultimately, I think there are more pros, hence why I keep living this lifestyle. And I'm constantly figuring out what works and what doesn't for me. Again, like I know a month in a place doesn't work for me, so I stay longer. I know that I need somewhere warm and by the beach. I know that cities don't work for me. So as you go, you'll figure it out. You don't need to have all the answers before you go. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think that's all of them. Maybe that's a good blog post. Or I should like formalize that. I'm just trying to think out loud here. But yeah, so you're just really, there are pros and cons to each lifestyle, right? And it's just which one you prefer. Yeah, and again, I mean, obviously I prefer this. Like I'm saving so much money by being in Bali. I can live a better quality life here. It feels like home to me, and it's really exciting to have a different place and different country feel like home. But yeah, let me see. Okay, so you know what? We do have a few more questions, but I might leave them to next week because I know we're already at about an hour. So I'm going to leave it there. Oh yeah, Barbara, you may find value because I know you're planning on going to your first location. You're planning on going to your first location soon. So what you may find helpful, on the WiFly Nomads website, we have resources sheets. So we have a sheet for planning your digital nomad journey, and sort of mapping it out. So our Go Remote action plan, and then we also have a cost worksheet, so the cost of your digital nomad lifestyle, so you can plan out your costs. So if you head over to the site, I'll put it in the Facebook group in comments. So that might help you plan out and budget. Like I said, like London's really expensive, Spain's more affordable. So I can send you this, and it can help you plan out, what you're gonna expect to spend. I'll also put the link to Nomad List, which gives you an idea of costs. And then, yeah, you might find value in the action plan. So if you just go to the website at the bottom, it says resources, so you can just go there. And then, let me see here. So I'll put that in the Grind to Greatness. Again, if you guys have questions for next week, put it in the Grind to Greatness Facebook group, and we'll answer those. And let me see here. Yeah, so as you saw in my email, we do have a really big announcement, which is really exciting. So we did our first program in September. It was a big success. You can see on if you go on the website and you go to our blog, you will see the rundown of like what we did when we were in Bali, and you'll also see the rundown. We sent out a survey for the participants, and it was an anonymous survey because we wanted real, honest feedback. So we gave them the survey, and they completed it with their thoughts on the program, rating it, on a scale of 1 to 10, what would you rate it? So if you go to the blog, you can check out the results for that. So anyways, everyone keeps asking, like, when is the next one? And I'm excited that we are soon going to be announcing that. So what we're doing is we're almost doing this like pre-launch. So We're not really promoting this. So if you're seeing this, it means you're really on the inside of like our information and stuff. So we're going to be doing a pre-launch for people to apply because our next programs, we're going to announce the dates soon. I can tell you it'll be early 2018. So just be mindful of that. So if you're on our email list, you're going to know when the pre-launch is. So if you're not on our email list, go to our website, go down to subscribe at the bottom to subscribe, because those people are going to know when we do our pre-launch. So the benefits of that is that you can essentially, you get priority. You pretty much get to know when we're going to launch before everyone else, and you can get priority. So pretty much everyone on our email list is going to know, okay, hey, our next dates are going to be this dates, and you can apply now. And those people will get to apply before we actually announce it to the public. And then once we announce it to the public, it's like a free-for-all. Anyone can apply. So this is just exclusive. So make sure you're on the email list, because if you're on the email list, you can apply, you can know the dates before everyone else, you can apply before everyone else, and those people that are on the wait list will be given the priority before everyone else from like public applies. The reason this is important is because last year we had 300 people apply from around the world, 40 different countries. We only selected 8 people to join us in Bali. So do the math. Obviously, it's low odds to get accepted. We anticipate now that we've already done the first program that we're going to have not a million, but a lot more applications now that people are like, okay, some people are like, okay, well, it's the first one, it's not proven. But now that we've done it, the results are out there. We're anticipating a lot more applications for the up and coming ones. The odds are low, so if you do want to increase your chances, then make sure you're in on that. And I'll send a link that you guys can know more information. But yeah, we're super excited because, the first one's done. We're wrapping up. We're still having our one-on-one calls with the participants, and we're going to be sharing their progress too and sort of where they're at. So get excited for that, because you guys will get a chance to meet them. We're going to be doing a lot more video and stuff, so I'm super excited. So yeah, I think that's everything. But yeah, I mean, if you're watching this, great, because then you can get on that inside, get on the, essentially like the wait list, so that you can apply before everyone else. Yeah, but we're super excited. Imran and I have been having a lot of discussions, and we're moving forward. So yeah, next WiFly is going to be coming soon in early 2018, and I cannot wait. I have so much coming up this week and next week that we're going to be sharing with you. Just so many exciting things coming and happening, and I'm just super pumped. And I cannot wait to share it all with you, but I know I just need to take my time step by step. Anyways, yes, guys, so hit us up in the Grind to Greatness Facebook group. I'll continue answering the questions that we didn't get to this time next week. And if you have questions, please submit them in the group. Again, coaching, you can check on the Remote Nomad. It's expensive pretty much, so it's your chance to get free coaching pretty much. So take advantage of it. Thank you, Barbara, for your questions, and Ewan. Well, I guess Ewan and Shiori. I'm saying your name wrong. I feel like had both sort of asked about the pros and cons of this lifestyle. We have some great questions coming up for next week, so I will get to those, I promise. And and then Catherine too. So thank you guys for sending in your questions. And more next week with Wednesdays with WiFly. I will talk to you guys later.